Hi everybody, welcome back. Hope you had a good day today. It was a good day for me. Just school today. It's been raining all week, so I really didn't go anywhere. So we're really not going to give you a day with. There's no sense. I didn't go anywhere, even really put anything on. I just kind of sat in front of a computer screen for 6 hours and then took a break, had a nap, because rainy days make most people sleepy. And decided I'd do this instead of a day with. I wore that candies the other day, and it got me thinking. Like I said, it was a nostalgia thing. What everybody wore, junior high and high school. And I was like, what can I compare it to that a lot of you people would know how popular these were? And it hit me. Axe. Most of you people watching my channel are either my age, a little younger, maybe a little older. But Axe was huge towards the end of high school for me. And for years, it still is popular. Very popular, actually, because it's cheap and kids steal it from the drugstore. But, I mean, it was huge the last few months of high school for me. It was all the kids were wearing, except for the weirdos like me who stuck with real cologne. And we were looked at as the oddballs out then because we didn't wear Axe. But it was only, like, when I say the last couple months of high school, I mean, it was the last 2, maybe 3 months of high school. I mean, it had been around and a few people had used it. And even I had a couple bottles of it that I used. But it really didn't pick up popularity until, Christ, the end of high school, which would have been 98. And it really took off a couple years after high school, like 2000. Everybody was wearing it. They even had Axe for women at that point, and it was just everywhere for 4 or 5 years, and it still is, really. It's not as popular, but you still can't walk into a high school or a mall and not smell Axe. Most of them are still wearing Axe simply because it's cheap, like I said. I mean, kidding around, they do steal it, but most people will buy it. It's $5 a can. Most kids will buy it. It beats even 20, 25, 30 bucks for a cheap cologne, right? So, but yeah, so I got thinking, what would be my junior high and high school Axe? What would be what you would walk into a junior high or a high school or even a college and all you would smell back in the day. And I've got 10 or 11 of them here that really, I couldn't break it down any more than that. And I left some out. Like, I left Fahrenheit out because, well, Fahrenheit was popular, especially in high school. It was the cologne only a few of us had, that either A, had money, and I didn't have money, but I managed to get one for a present. So you were basically, it was cologne that only a few guys wore because it was expensive. Polo. When I say polo, I mean polo green. It's just the way it was. It was just called polo back then because there was only one polo. Was another one that was worn a lot, but even by grade 8, for me in my generation, it had started getting the stigma of being old, being an old man scent. So, sorry about that, guys. Yeah. So polo, even grade 8, even from my generation, kind of started taking on the stigma of, not necessarily old manish, I didn't mean that, but just out of style. It wasn't what we were going for anymore. Then there's polo sport. And the only reason I didn't include it is because it was last on the list. It was the least worn out of all of these, as far as I remember. It was still worn heavily, so that should tell you something, because these things were, how much these 10 or 11 coming up were worn. So yeah, and there was one other I do want to kind of include, kind of an honorable mention, and that's Aqua de Gio. It came out right around the time I started high school. And, well, again, a few of us had it. It kind of fell in line with that Fahrenheit kind of thing that you had to have a little bit of money or find a way like I did to get a bottle. So, but still, you could smell that regularly, off and on, throughout the years. But not as much as these. These is it 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these 9. So we'll say 10. Top 10. We'll include that one. And this is no order or anything. There's not best to worst. I'm just gonna kind of grab. I kind of tried to keep the, if it was like a design house together, you know, like the first 3 are from Cody. Gravity. And the junior high school Gravity. Again, reason Cody was so popular is because they were good. They still are good. They smell great. And they were relatively cheap. These were more along the lines of what you get if you saved up your allowance, maybe had a part-time job, working at the McDonald's, and you went and bought yourself a bottle of cologne. And I'm not giving you notes or anything like that. This is just going to be a basic list. But Gravity. The next one was Aspen. Now, everybody knows Aspen because it's similarity to a Green Irish Tweed and Cool Water. There's differences, though, between all 3 of them. But it is a nice scent. They say clean, aquatic, but not in that sea type of way. More as like a stream in the woods type vibe. And one of my favorites, one my nanny got me. Ditto. Only wear on special occasions now. Preferred stock. Makes me think of nanny. Junior high in a bottle, man. I remember a guy sprayed a shit ton of this on. I think I might have told the story before, and it's no joke. I mean, when I say he sprayed on half a bottle one. I don't know why. Don't ask, you idiot. And then lit a cigarette with a match. Immediately, like a second later. However long it took him a cigarette in his mouth to get the match out in his truck. So, that long. Blew up. Blew right up. Burned the eyebrows, eyelashes off him, little crustache that he had. Burned his skin, not severely, but enough that it was going to leave some scars. Yeah, he just went up. It was ridiculous. This is a nice scent, though. Soapy, clean, with a real hint of a dark, somewhat sweet patchouli. Nice scent. Can't do my Axe fragrances of the 90s without some Calvin Klein's. Now can we? Escape. Sweet bubblegum green scent. It was on my bucket list for a while, and for those who watch my video, I finally got a bottle of it. I don't know why it took me so long. I think by the time I really got, I'd go to a store and be like, ooh, Escape's here, I'll get that. And then something else would catch my eye, and something else would catch my eye. And eventually I just went one day, it was, ooh, Escape, and I go, no, I'm getting it. So I got it. Basic Eternity by Calvin Klein. You all know this is lavender. Clean, fresh lavender scent. Geez, every time I smell it, I love it. Put a little on here. Yeah, clean and fresh. Heavy dose of lavender and citrus. And yes, nice. I don't have a bottle of CK1 anymore. I don't know where it went. But this would have been the one I was wearing in high school anyway. Gender one, which was CK1. Come out around the same time as Aqua de Gio, and everybody wore this. This is probably the most popular scent on this list back then, and because everyone wore it. Men, women, boys, girls. We only had them genders back then, so that was it. But everybody wore this. Didn't matter what you identified as. Didn't matter who you were. You wore Aqua de Gio. CK1. The ads for it. The old heroin ads. heroin chic, as we called them. Yeah. Again, I'll give you a quick, again, clean, fresh, powdery type scent, floral. Probably the second most one you would have smelled back in the day. Got the Johnson baby powder and cool water cologne. Stoop. Yeah, cool water. Just plain old cool water. No flankers. Didn't have flankers back then. It was just cool water. And again, y'all know this. Clean, lavender, aquatic. It's cool water. The candies that I just reviewed. So, like I said, not my type of scent. On me, it's sour, a little off-putting, but on most people, they seem to like it. But yeah, candies. And the Faye I like better than Candies by Liz Claiborne is Curve. It's green and soft with this weird cactus note in it. It's really nice. The only thing is you got to put a lot on when you wear it because it is very light. But yeah, Curve by Liz Claiborne. And there's a couple others, guys, again, that I could have included. Junior high polo chaps was really popular. Also, California. I can't remember who made that. I think it's made by Dana now, but it wasn't back then. I think they acquired it. Which speaks to Dana. Blue Canoe. Canoe. Was another one a lot of people wore. And then your standard aftershaves. A lot of people wore it. And then they liked, and they won't admit it. Even back then, they didn't admit it, but everybody liked them. Old Spice, Aqua Velva, English Leather, Brute. Yeah, and Michael Jordan was another one. I don't know if I mentioned Michael Jordan, that a lot of people wore, and Tommy Hilfiger. But again, I couldn't include everything, and they kind of just didn't make the list, but just by this much, So, yeah, so tell me, what were your axes back in the day? Did you have the same experience I had in the mid-90s? All the way up to about the early 2000s? Or was there something I'm completely missing that everybody wore in your high school or junior high or right after high school? Because this is just where I lived, right? There might be I'm sure there are others, but where I lived, these were the shit. The mall wasn't so much, although the mall was popular. It was more popular. It was kind of like Fahrenheit. It seemed to be more popular with an older crowd because they could afford it. Trying to think of others that might have been. Let me look here. No, that's really all I can think of. I'm sure there's others, but that's all I can think of. Oh, a Zero, Poor Home again, but that was more of seemed to be more of an older thing, but was still popular. You could smell it around the malls and stuff on the grown ass men. Paco Rabanne, Poor Home. So there's a lot, but these were the ones really that were what me and the other kids were wearing back in the day. So yeah, anyway, guys, tell me about your couple of your favorites or ones you remember being super popular that I might have missed out on. Peace, love, be good to each other.